Ready?
I don't believe in nothing anymore.
You gotta believe in something, kid.
Hello, and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 27-4, and we are your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
And every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We pick a topic, and we pick some music, we listen to the music, and we chat about it, and we chat about just about everything else. I'm going to say, Pernell, you've actually introduced yourself with your name today.
Yeah, well, I kind of need to come into this episode on a good foot. Like, it's funny. Like I started on a rough foot, and It seems like, as always, pre-chatter always seems to break me out of that shell, which I appreciate more than
I know.
people would know.
We were doing it for years, just like chatting before starting the show, and then I was like, oh wait, that should be like a special content for Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member, you get a prequel episode of me and Pernell talking about real stuff.
And for the record, that wasn't the intent of me saying that.
I'm not. I'm not trying to like. I'm just like, hey, you're gonna say it, and it's nice, but hey, it's also a commercial.
It's like putting it to use.
Yeah,
but like,
I'm gonna say,
it helped a lot.
Real quick, if you are a Patreon member, if you're thinking about becoming a Patreon member, this week's episode has a little asterisk that it is sensitive content.
Very much so.
But usually we do end up cursing a little bit more. But we're not the kind of people who just curse for the sake of cursing.
We're not pirates, nor are we sailors, are we sailing pirates or pirate.
I'll say this: I like rum. I think parrots are cool, but cursing is okay.
Oh, cursing is fun, but only from comedic purposes. Like I'm not. Even when I'm angry, I only curse when I'm trying to be funny. Like, it's the craziest thing. I don't know how that works for me. But.
I get sometimes if I'm feeling like really like earnest about something, if I'm feeling very not jazz.
Push the point.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
hammered home.
I will say that over the next couple months, we might have a few mixtape episodes coming up, special mixtapes. So if you have any suggestions or topic suggestions for a special mixtape, let me know. In the past, we've had racing music, and I did a whole drum and bass episode, all sorts of stuff. So that's coming down the pike. Just because we've got some personal stuff going on, we might not be able to record, but we always want to have a little something. I always got time to do something, don't you? Don't you? We always got.
Oh, we squeeze the lemons when we need.
Yeah, we could squeeze them.
We get the juicer out.
Before the show really begins, I want to thank Khalid for sending us that really nice email from Germany. You know who you are, and it was really, really cool. Really, really cool. It's always nice to hear from you. And we also have a new member in our Discord that showed up, and I just want to give a shout out to a name I'm about to read because I could not remember the name, and
was it the Pixelated Poet?
Pixelated Poet. Thank you very much for coming in with all that positive energy. That's what we need. Positive energy. And
also, not just positive energy, but also positive poetry, because they also write. So that's pretty legit.
And that's really cool. We've got like musicians, we got artists, we got people doing games, like making their own games, and now we got poetry, right?
It actually gave me an idea for an episode topic, but I'm not a poet, so if anything, I'd be like, hey, think you got some video game related poetry that could fit into a cool episode of the show?
I'll say that. I mean, I think you're a poet, but like I don't think you mean to be.
Oh, touche. I can go with that. It's like the dewy beads.
What are some other things that you've seen
as I drip from exercise? Wow.
I was trying to think of other things that I've seen, like other artistic mediums that I've seen. I'm in part of a Facebook group of people who do who mod joysticks or like make joysticks for fighting games and for shoot 'em ups. And this one guy, like a lot of them make them out of wood, right? Like they'll either get metal housing or they'll make them out of like wood, and like they'll shop it and they'll shellac it and they'll make it super pretty. This one guy, he actually inlays wood inside wood with different colors to make these amazing designs of like Ryu and Chun-Li, and it's all inlaid wood inside the joystick. It's incredible. Does
he make like weird like chimera versions like Chun-Ryu?
No, it's just a really stylized character because it's already like like probably really difficult to put together. But there's some interesting designs people make. There's most of them aren't joysticks anymore. They're just all buttons. Some of them are buttons with like...
Oops, all buttons.
Yeah, it's buttons with like maybe like a keypad on the left, like a WASD on the left. I saw one that was a joystick on the right with buttons, but on the left was a PlayStation controller cut in half and attached to it. So on your left hand, you're playing with your thumbs. Up on your right hand, you're playing with your fingers. And I'm thinking that's brilliant, because back in the day, we used to play Marvel Capcom 2, and that's how I held the Dreamcast controller. I held it with my thumb on the left, but my fingers were hitting the buttons on the right on top of the controller, because that's how I played in the arcade.
And it makes sense though, because when you're hitting the buttons like by hammering down with your fingertips, you can actually hit them quicker and more rhythmically, as opposed to like taking one thumb and moving it across the entire button scheme.
I think so. I built all that muscle memory playing in the arcade. So I was like, I can't figure this out with my thumb. I'll just do it this way.
Smart the business.
So yeah, that's my little aside.
That's his poetry. That's Rob's poetry for the day.
All right. So last month, you committed to playing 4 games, completing 4 games in February.
Yes, and I've tried this multiple years over the years, because 4 in February isn't a new concept. It's been around for a while. But unlike pretty much every year except for like maybe 2009 or something, I actually did it this time. Like, I actually chose 4 games and completed 4 games from beginning to end. That unprecedented. And I've been kind of chomping at the bit to talk about it. And funny enough, also, it's also like a double aside episode reasoning, because unfortunately Indie Gaiden is wrapped up, which sucks, because I really like that whole round table thing that was going there. So I was like, I want to talk about games. So talk about the 4 in February for this episode.
That works out great. And so for me, I did pledge to play some more games in February. I didn't complete any, Purnell, obviously.
4 in February that you dabbled in.
So that's what I'm going to talk about. So it's an even numbered episode. So I'm going to start with some music that you know I got to play. It's from Persona.
Of course.
Persona 5. So I've been playing a lot of Persona 5. This is Butterfly Kiss, composed by Shoji Meguro. It's environment Now I am listening to music from Persona 5 on the PlayStation 4. I'm channeling my inner Purnell there.
It's a challenge, I'll tell you. Especially when you're like, crap, I don't have a word for that. Thing. Slipped it up in. When in doubt, ski bop.
Ski bop. Yeah, I'm not that good. I'm not that good of a scat singer. So I'm a scat man. So this was Butterfly Kiss from Persona 5, composed by Shoji Meguro, and this, it's more of like environment music. So when there's conversation happening, or I think like when there's like, I can only call it interrogation when you're talking to like other NPCs within the game. It plays
like the confidants.
Yeah, a lot of the confidants. It's very like it's just this plays this jazzy tune. I love it. Every time I hear it, I get so excited when it starts to play. Because some of the music, like when you're talking to the confidants or when you're talking to the other players in your team and like the
fellow thieves.
Yeah, and it gets heavy, right? And there's like heavy conversation. It plays like kind of a sad song or it plays like more serious music, and I don't think it's as good. I think those other serious tracks are not as good as these tracks. These jazzy tracks are so awesome to me.
So who's the killer? We got to figure out who it is before he kills again. Da, 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 da. Like,
Exactly,
whoa, we need more tension. This isn't tension.
Well, there's tension in it. This track is jazzy, but it's not major. It's not in a major key. It's still got some kind of weird tension going on there. But that melody...
I don't think I could hear this music at the moment, like a major point of like contention in the game, be like, yep, I feel pressure. I feel tense. No, I feel a butterfly kiss. It's in the title, man. It's a butterfly kiss.
I've had two people ask me like, oh, you play games? What are you playing? And I say Persona 5. And these are people who don't play games. And so I'm like, so what's that game about? And I say, it's about kids who suffer through trauma. And so they develop like super-powered monsters to fight other to fight their demons. Yeah, I'm like, it's just so weird. I'm like, I try to like put it like in the clearest way possible. That's not like, they battle monsters in a metaverse because it gets really intense.
It's funny you say that because I'm almost positive that killed me on my last 2 dates because I'm pretty sure I said exactly kids develop the ability to do battle in the metaverse to fight people's sins and make them confess their crimes. They're like, what the hell are you talking like? That's the kind of games I play. Let
me tell you about Corpse Bride, or let me tell you about
oh, mercy. Hey, who want to play Stretch Panic? It's about a girl with a scarf that lets her stretch everything. It's like, that doesn't sound like a crime drama per now.
Like some of the biggest games, like my most favorite games I've played in the past 5 to 10 years was Fez, in which there's no dialogue, it's just exploration, and Hyper Light Drifter. Again, there's no dialogue, it's just exploration, and it's so deep. And those things, something about creating your own narrative, it gets your imagination really moving along. And that's the kind of game, like, in my mind, I eventually want to make something on the scale of Fez, something big and explorative.
It's worth a try for sure, but it's one thing to say about those things like that people don't give them enough credit for. It's like there's something to be said, not just about a game that lets you create your own narrative, but also a game lets you create your own narrative without spoken dialogue. But it's another thing to say it does that while also still giving you enough to have some sort of actual narrative that they want to convey.
Right.
So, like, being able to play the same game together, then sit down over coffee and go, so the part where they clearly made it obvious that this guy actually suffers from a trauma brought on by that character that was in this town that you met 5 hours prior. They never speak.
Yeah.
But you can clearly see that there's a relationship between these characters and all this. Like, to be able to do that without dialogue is amazing. It is amazing work.
I love it. I think having that level of narrative without actual dialogue within a game is just exciting to me. It really gets me excited about a game. Even a Hyper Light Drifter, there's definitely a narrative, and it tells a story through pictures and through sound. But like when you're traveling from point A to point B, my experience of that with that character, like it's harrowing, and someone else's might not be that same way. They might be experimenting and having fun with the game, and I'm like, no, it's intense. This guy's surrounded by monsters, and
I'm falling in pits left and right. Like, what the hell are you doing? Shh, there's a secret over there.
Yeah, I'm just going there. But anyway, we got some more music to get into. And Pernell, what was your what's the first game you want to talk about?
This track should be fairly lengthy, which is good because I dropped a gummy bear and I got to find it. This track,
depending on where it dropped, I don't think you should eat that.
Good point. It'll go into the ruins, the old ruins of Pernell's office. This comes from the first game that I played through in February, and that game is titled Cave Story. It's a classic, well, a modern classic. Is that even considered modern anymore? I mean, we're old, so I don't know what's classic anymore. Anyway,
I think it's a modern.
Cave Story.
I would call it a modern classic. Yeah.
Let's go with it. Modern classic. The track title is called Mischievous Robot, and it's composed by Daisuke Pixel Amaya. Welcome back. You're listening to Mischievous Robot from the game Cave Story, composed by Daisuke, Pixel, Amaya, and I never found that gummy bear. Blast it all.
Right, we were on the edge of our seats. What happened to that gummy bear, Bruno?
It's out there. Gummy bear gnomes got to it.
Ooh.
One day I'll find those cursed gnomes. But enough about the gummies. Let's talk about the game. So Cave Story, I originally played through that game way back when it first got announced as being like this really awesome fan game that you could only download on PC and it was free. The guy just wanted people to experience his product. Fast forward like 15 years and now the game has been released by multiple publishers, Nicholas being the primary one. And they've had multiple versions of the game, added content put in, blah blah blah, and it remains an absolute banger of a classic. Now, recently, most particularly right at the beginning of February, I was getting nostalgic for the game because either a song was played somewhere or just came up in a thread, and people were getting wistful about how hard the last area is on the true route of the story. So I was like, I haven't played this game in so long. I wonder if I still have the chops to do that part. 'Cause I remember how awesome it was to do that first time. So I had, on a whim, just like, I'm going to play through Cave Story right now. So I just sat down, booted it up, and just wrecked through it. Did it in 2 sittings. Because the first sitting was playing all the way to the final boss fight, and then the second sitting was the final boss.
Wow.
And the bonus section at the end.
I guess when you know what you're doing, you can kind of just blow through it.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, I didn't remember most of it. Like, it's been that long. There's only certain things I remembered. Most particularly, how to save Curly Brace, who is like your companion robot in the game. Also, Curly Brace is friggin' awesome, so you do want to save her because why the heck not? But I remembered how to do that, and I also remembered to not fall after Dr. Booster when he gets thrown into the trash bin. Because if you go after him, he dies. But if you don't go after him, he develops the will to get out himself, and then he helps you later, which is worth doing. So, I did all that, got to that final boss run, which again, I stand by my belief that's one of the coolest final boss areas I've ever played in the game. It's called Blood Sanctuary. And you're basically like using jetpacks to dodge spikes, and you're fighting like these angelic demons, and eventually you got to fight this like weird god character who like created the mind control device that was the main factor in the entire game, and he's just insanely hard. He's really difficult, and this tense, the pressure's on. I think I even recorded myself fighting him, and I was able to win, and it still felt good to do. And I was like hearing people tell me that it took them out back in the day. And my old behind was like, no, I still got it. Purdy still got it. And I dusted off my little fingertips and got back to business and showed the world, or I showed myself anyway, that I still could do it. And it holds up. The game is a fantastic run. 2D platformer with, I hate saying this, but I guess it applies, Metroidvania-esque elements.
Yeah.
Or more so Metroid elements, because there's no leveling up.
Exploration.
Exploration, there we go.
Yeah.
And it's worth your time. Yeah. I recommend it to everyone to this day. It still works. I don't care how you play it, except maybe the 3D version on 3DS. Every other version of it, I can recommend wholeheartedly. You should play this game. You love it.
I recommend it too. Even though I didn't finish it, I will definitely recommend it.
I wish you remember where you left off. I'd be like, go back.
The boss was like a giant tank thing that was like covering the ground and the ceiling.
Oh, the Monster X. It was the tank with the cat in it.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. It was.
There was a bunch of beetles in there too.
Yes. Oh, it was so hard.
I remember that jerk.
I had a hard time with that. All right, so my second track is from another game that I got into in February. It's called Persona 5, and this track.
Are you serious?
This track is called "The Days When My Mother Was There," composed also by Shoji Meguro. And we're back. You're listening to The Days When My Mother Was There from Persona 5, composed by Shoji Meguro. And yeah, I didn't play many other games. That's the joke. That is the joke, Purnell.
He had to reveal the joke now because I caught him. He said the second was like, wait a minute.
I wanted to like surprise Purnell, and that was it. Yeah, I did. I played this game, and I've been playing DDR. So, and I can't exactly. In the game, my DDR game is not DDR music. It's modern pop music or whatever. So, not exactly going to play that on the show. So I thought, you know what? Why not? Persona 5 is some great music. I wanted to share it with everybody, and I know everyone generally enjoys it. So this track really got me because this is the first time in the game where the music outside of the dungeon, you spend time in the metaverse, but outside of like the main dungeon area, and the music is different from when you actually go to the actual palace or dungeon area. So on the outside it's kind of slow, it's jazzy, but it's all the same instrumentation that you hear here. But then once you get into the main dungeon proper, this song kicks in, and once that guitar melody just kicks off, it's so cool. It feels so good. I'm telling you, Purnell, I was avoiding monster fights. I was
just to hear more tunes,
just so I could hear the music more. I mean, it's a pretty long dungeon to get through, and there's a lot of puzzles and stuff that are like, quote unquote puzzles.
It's take item, move to place.
Yeah, they're essentially like the temples in Final Fantasy X, where it's like pick up a crystal, put it down, you solved it. But yeah, I was avoiding monsters just so I can hear more of this music because it was so good, and it made the boss a little more difficult to fight, but it was worth it. I really, really liked it. So every time you go in the outside of the world, it was almost like a prelude leading up to going inside this dungeon battle, and this music plays, and it's so good. And it's again, the title of the song is very, very tied into the story of this character, which I don't want to give away too much, but it's really sad. It's really freaking sad. It's so much. Yeah. It makes you feel really like this game it makes me feel really connected to the characters because I feel really bad for them all. I feel like they've really gone through some things and together they're getting through it.
It's nice to hear you say that too, because it's funny how this is a fine case of it's like this is calling back to the beginning of the show, but like how the internet ruins things. In that I played through Persona 5 and I love the game. But admittedly, I'm also in a number of S posting groups, and but also some general JRPG groups, and people love to rag on this game. Like they don't like how the characters develop. They think they're all too tropey. I'm like, I think they did a great job with the characters. I felt for these characters. About the only character I feel bad for is Ryuji, because they overdo his Ryuji, way to screw it up again, man.
I wish they wouldn't do that. But at the same time, it kind of works because when you're a teenager, like there's always that one friend in your group that you kind of bust on.
He pulls the boners all the time.
Yeah, and that kid...
That's some 70s slang for you kids.
Yeah, exactly. And that kid leans into it, and it might be hurtful. But you're kids. So it's even to me, that's real, And as far as the tropes go, I don't watch enough anime or play enough games to really make those connections. So I'm just here for the ride.
That's a good point. Since you don't do a lot of them, to you, what's a trope? This is new to me. This is good.
Yeah. A lot of it's pretty new. I mean, I do understand a lot of anime tropey stuff, and on that end, I have not a lot of patience for especially modern some newer anime shows. So that's where I'm going to stand on that.
And that's all I have to say about that.
And that's all I have to say about that. All right, so Purnell, that's enough about me, but more about you.
Okay, so I do not have Persona 5 on my roster, which is funny because I did technically start Persona 5 Strikers in February, but I didn't complete it.
That's a big one.
It doesn't count for this topic.
That's another big game, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back into it after I've been having this weird hit for having that weird anti-game playing bug has been kicking me again lately, which I don't like because it always makes me think I don't like games anymore, which is such a lie. Yeah, because clearly I do. I'm looking forward to 2 tomorrow.
I think it's just phases. I go into phases, obviously, of where I like to play games a lot, and then where I'm just not going to play. like a lot of games, like maybe just one or two that I'm already into. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, really. Like, because it means that you're like, I'm making time for something else that I really want to do.
Yeah. And that's a very good way to put it too. Like, because right now lately it's like I exercise a lot now, and between that plus like doing podcast prep, both podcasts technically, and just other stuff I'm trying to do, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, now after I've done all that, I need to sit down and decide on a game to play, and my brain's just like, you don't want to play anything. You just want to stare at the ceiling, or I don't know, sleep. And then the weird thing is, like, even when I do want to play a game, what ends up happening is I'm like, I could sit down and try to figure out how to get into this dungeon crawling RPG again, or I could play Dadish. I'll play Dadish. Dadish is just a simple, really simple platformer where you're a radish dad looking for his radish children.
Love it.
It's just, I don't know what it is, but I am obsessed with Dadish, and when Dadish 2 came out on the Switch, I bought it immediately. I didn't even wait for it to go on sale.
Is that what we're going to listen to?
No, because I didn't beat it.
Oh.
But
you got me super interested in this radish game.
Oh yeah, man, Dadish is the stuff. Now, the track I'm going to pick comes from the second game I played throughout the month of February. Mm-hmm. And this game is called Rack and Ruin. I played it on the PlayStation 4, though, believe it or not, I'm almost positive I played it on the 360, but I'm almost positive. On the Xbox One. That's the real system, I swear. Though I have owned it on a PS3, but never played through it. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, this is the boss theme from that game, and the composer of it is Ben Briggs. Apparently one of two Ben Briggs, according to Rob's recent discovery.
Yeah, not Benjamin Briggs. This is Ben Briggs from the UK. So a different Briggs. So we're going to the boss music, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go. You're listening to the boss theme from the game Rack and Ruin on in this case, the Xbox One, composed by Ben Briggs. So I originally bought this game when it first came out, and I'm almost positive it was on PS3, but it could have well been like the Xbox 360. But I'm pretty sure. I just watched the trailer, and it said coming this March. This was in 2015. Coming this March on the PlayStation 4.
Okay, so in that case, that's what it was. I bought it on the PS4 when it first came out, but never played it. And then it came out on the Xbox One last month, and I got a review code for it. through SML. So I was like, well, a running joke with that show is that we'll get a code for a game that got a later release or a remaster or something, and it's a game I paid money for years prior and never played. So I was like, leave it to the SML to get me to review a game I bought 5 years ago. Yeah. Now I can actually experience the game and see how it is.
Getting you to actually play the games that you bought.
Exactly. So and this was another case like that, and I ended up liking it enough. Now here's the thing. When I do a lot of reviews, like I'll play as much of it as I can. Then I'll do the review, and then I'll move on to like whatever comes next because train keeps rolling. Games keep coming out, right? But this is one of those rare cases where I was like, I should finish this. Like, this is a totally completable game for me. Because one of the rules I've come to establish for 4 in February is that you need to make them games that aren't like 50-hour epics. They have to be games that aren't too complicated. Meaning that I can pick up the rules, run with them, and even though they might add things that make it more challenging, I don't have to relearn the game at different points, right? So this game plays like a top-down Zelda-style game. You know, being like there's dungeons and like those secret caves with like an item inside and that kind of thing. But the only inverse is you're not playing a hero. You're playing a demon sent down by a world conqueror to dominate this planet. And you are basically going to various world points on the planet and corrupting them to ultimately destroy the world and kill everyone who lives on the planet. Now, it works though. Like it's played up comedically.
Yeah, it's got
the gameplay
like
fun.
It's got a fun style to it. It's really colorful for being kind of dark and silly.
Well, it's colorful until you corrupt a place, and then it's not so colorful. Like when you get to the end of the game, the world looks so drab.
Oh, really?
Because everything gets corrupted. You literally, the end of the game it's not a spoiler because that's literally the game. You do corrupt the world. That's your goal. But it's fun. And let's be honest here, while I do love and prefer games where I play as the hero, sometimes it's cool to play as a bad guy, especially if you're not a bad guy who's like going around like massacring people. Because the way this game does this is less about, I'm going to go murder a bunch of people, which I don't get down with. And it's more like, well, you're already dead because of something I did over here. Now I'm just going to sell your soul for a weapon upgrade. Sorry, sucker. You know, it's like, oh, what a laugh. He's so evil. So I'm okay with that in this case. Like, it works for this context of the game. And I can genuinely recommend it as well. And I forgot to mention, but it's important to note because you outright noted as being something you liked about the game from looking it up. A lot of the enemies and most of the bosses end up becoming bullet hell type bosses. Now, we're not saying cave style. Like, if you're not a bullet hell guy traditionally, that doesn't mean you're going to suddenly not be able to complete this game. I'm just saying you'll be dodging bullets. It's not as simple as like, here comes the beam, get out of the way. It's just, no, here's a swarm of bullets.
Right.
Frickin' dodge them.
Yeah,
just get out of the way.
Figure out how to get through it.
Exactly. And it's tastefully done in a way where I think people can get through this game without too much difficulty if they just want to try. So I recommend it. Spoiler, I'm going to recommend every game that I played this month, but I'm just going to say it to go with it. I recommend that you play this game if you're interested in Zelda top-down, actiony games with a twist in this case.
Yes. Yeah, I like the style of it. The main character looked kind of cute. He's basically like he's got these big horns, really big horns.
And he kind of reminds you of like Invader Zim.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. I couldn't think of the cartoon, but I was thinking of it reminded me of a cartoon. It's got an Invader Zim kind of style to it.
He has the laugh like.
All right, so my last track is one of the more intense tracks from Persona 5. This is Life Will Change. This is the instrumental that plays in-game, again composed by Shoji Meguro. That was Life Will Change from Persona 5, composed by Shoji Meguro. And
the non-lyrics version, by the way, 'cause there is a lyrics version as well for folks who are seeking it out.
yeah, which is awesome. But like, this is the music that plays like when you're fighting the boss, and the tides are turning. Right?
No, not fighting the boss. Not fighting the boss. This is the track that plays.
Oh, no, it's when you're it's when you're doing the heist.
Exactly, you're going for the big heist.
But for me, man, this is music you listen to when you're getting out of bed.
Throw away your clothes.
I think about this song a lot. Like, it's just like I'm waking up, I'm like, all right, gotta go get my breakfast and then get my run in. You know?
Well, when you think about it, if you really think about it, you play it when you're executing a routine.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Yeah. They're executing the plan. You know? But like, it's also really hopeful. This song is super hopeful. And
the only thing that kills me, there's one thing that kills me though, and this goes for Persona 4 too. Now that I think about it, really, and it's the fact that there's a structure that plays out the end of every dungeon. In the case of Persona 4, it was pretty much confronting the shadow version of the person you're trying to help. In the case of Persona 5, it's retrieving the treasure of the metaverse of the person whose metaverse you're invading.
Right.
And there's always the case of, we need to get it, we need to get out, right? And that's supposed to do the trick to make them change their heart. However, they never succeed. They never get out without getting caught, which kind of makes them bad thieves. Yeah, they do get it in the end, but it's because they have to fight the guards.
I know, it happens every time. And I realize for a lot of it, it's so that whatever main character is like involved, it's so that they can have their big persona reveal. You know, they overcome
the exposition.
Yeah, exactly. They overcome like their fear, and they what do they call it? It's like the personas are a form of rebellion, but the rebellion against their horrible circumstances.
Well, like, no, but the thing is, that's when they gain their persona. But but
like they always get caught.
Bosses
always getting caught.
Yeah, but the boss thing is more about. It's always the exposition of the boss. It's almost like if you watched like classic cartoons, and the villain was trying to reveal their big master plan. In the case of Persona 5, whenever they catch you in that last heist, you always have that conversation where it's like, wait, this is your treasure? And it's like, why is this your treasure? And the guy goes, because actually, that's not your real parent. And everyone freaks out, and it's like, you're a real monster. Now I'm going to fight you for real. And then the big boss fight happens. However, as corny as it's made it sound, it's still really cool to see it happen in game proper. Which is why it's always been done in cartoons and stuff. Like, because it works.
It works.
You know?
And you don't want it too complicated, right? Because like in a cartoon, you don't want it too complicated. You want to just enjoy the story. Go for the ride, right?
Yeah. Get in the car. Cruise.
Take you for a ride. So I hope you think about this song during your next morning routine, wherever it takes you.
I'm calling it right now. By the way, I'm calling it based on what you just said. We have an episode topic. Write this down, and it is literally Rhythm and Pixels, the KVGM. We wish we were for one episode hour or something, because I want to do some variation where we're like, what if we were KVGM? Because you had that voice where it's like, do it on your next cruise.
Oh, you mean actually? I did do a KVGM episode. I don't know if you listened to it, but it was a mixtape episode where I tried to do.
No, but that's a mixtape. But we gotta do the full splam.
Should we do like commercials and like bumpers and stuff like an actual radio show?
We gotta do it the way Hammock would do it. It's gotta be like very Hammock inspired and appreciated. So it's literally us saying, we're doing KVGM,
I'm gonna have to
we're clearly showing that we appreciate KVGM.
I can't do that on the top of my head, but yeah, no, I do appreciate it, but I can't do that off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to write it out.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
It's gonna be a shorter episode too, because we're not gonna be riffing on it. We're just gonna be like, man, when you're driving down the tunes on your car. I don't even know.
Honestly, I think it'll be double bonus if we do just poorly with it, because
it's gonna be bad.
There's only one Hammock. There's only one Hammock. And we ain't him.
There's only one Hammock, and his name is Hammock.
That's right.
You cannot convince me otherwise. Don't show me his driver's license. Don't show me any other form of ID.
You can introduce us to Knapsack and Beanie Bag, but they're not Hammock.
You call him Triple Hammock.
Triple hand, but that's also heavy.
That's also okay. What's your last track?
Okay, so back the final game. Well, this isn't the final because there's also a final segment of the track. So the third game I played through during this month was also brought on by way of a review, but it was a review for a game that I'd actually been looking forward to releasing since it got announced. And this was the follow-up Yacht Club Games title that came after Shovel Knight. And the title of this game is called Cyber Shadow.
Yes.
The track title in question is called Progenitor, and is composed by Enrique Martin. Welcome back. You're listening to Progenitor Phase 2 from the game Cyber Shadow, composed by Enrique Martin. So, Cyber Shadow is a fantastic, great game. Like, I will say off the top that I do feel like the hype that people gave it, which it received for good reason, mind you, may have set my expectations a bit too high for it. But what I got was still an enjoyable experience. Enjoyable enough that I played through the entire freaking thing. I mean, come on. This is me we're talking about. But the best way to describe it would be like a nice cross between Ninja Gaiden and Shadow of the Ninja, both released on the NES way back in the day. It's a fun title. The combat exists similar to how, like in Ninja Gaiden, how you swipe with your sword when you want to attack. Though it kind of has like a ripple effect that kind of cuts out in the front, which is more like Shadow of the Ninja. Special weapons, however, work a little differently than what we're used to. So, whereas in like say Ninja Gaiden or something, you would get like break an item, like break like an object on the wall, and it would drop, and you pick it up, and then you have it. However, in this game, the thing that makes it special is that every checkpoint you can spend collectibles that you earn throughout by breaking objects, to purchase the upgrade to have it spawn at that checkpoint whenever you're at that checkpoint. So every time you die, if you bought that checkpoint upgrade to release this special item, you'll always have it when you start from that spot, which makes it easier when you're trying to pick up from where you left off.
Yeah, I like that. That's kind of cool. It's like if you were playing Gradius and you collected all of these items, but then you died, right? And then you had to go back to a checkpoint or back to where you were before. You'd at least have something you can pick up on, right?
Exactly. Now, the game's still pretty rough. Like, by hearing that, don't think that means that it's a walk in the park. I think when I beat the game, which actually kind of made me sad to learn this, they were counting all of my deaths, and I didn't learn it until I actually won and got the credits. I think I died like a little, like maybe like 100 and something times, and it was like, damn, that's why it was like 101 times. And I was shocked to see it. And I watched everyone else play through the game afterwards and see what theirs was. Their death count was around 400. So I was like, okay, I feel a little better, but still, this game got pretty rough.
You see things go into the hundreds, and you go, was I that bad at this game? But no, maybe it's just like you're intended. You know, you're good at games. Like you're not professional, but you're also no amateur.
I'm no slouch.
No,
know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm okay at games. It's honestly, I had a great time playing it, and I do enjoy when games. And I think more games should do this, by the way. Make them challenging, but also remove lives and make restarts quick.
Yeah.
Because I think what that does is it allows you to not... Because that was the big issue with a lot of our older games back in the day. You'd have like 3 lives, and you get 3 attempts at this really challenging section. And if you fail, and you don't have any continues, you gotta go all the way back to the beginning, the stuff that you've already mastered, just to get back to the one part to try again to master it. It's not to say that you couldn't master it if you had enough time. It's saying they're taking your time away by making you do the early stuff again to try the hard part that was actually giving you trouble.
Right. You got better at those earlier sections because you were able to do them over and over. But then by the end of the game, you're not going to get much better at it because you have to go all the way back over and over again. And it just takes that much more time. And
exactly.
For me, it's like, oh, maybe that last time I did that stage was a fluke because I can't pass it anymore and I can't get back to where I was. So that's me and Ninja Gaiden in a nutshell.
Because to this day, I think I'll say this and I'll stop rambling, which is that Ninja Gaiden I learned flat out because I beat it when I was a child. But of course, with children, we have dang near infinite amounts of time to play stuff if you weren't like constantly involved in like kids sports and stuff. But as an adult, we did it on Pernell and Matt Play Games. That was the first game we did when we tried to start that show. And the purpose was to say, is this game as hard as we remembered it being? And the realization was, it's a challenging game, yes. But the first 5 out of 6 worlds gave me little to no trouble at all. I smashed the tar out of it.
It's the end.
Got to world 6, where if you die, you have to do the whole thing again. It was killer. I was like, okay, we did it for a while, and I got to Jacquio, who's the final boss. He has 3 forms, and if you lose your lives on him, you have to do all the stages again just to try fighting him again. It was a waste of time. So eventually we started exploiting save states just to try the boss fight from the beginning, mind you, but still try the boss fight again.
I think that's the only way to do it with that, especially with a game like that.
Yeah, because it's like
specifically. Yeah,
because what it ultimately proved is that could I beat the game normally? Yes. Mm-hmm. Did we have the 4 hours it would have probably taken me to get to the boss enough time to try again and master it? No, we didn't.
Right.
So we did the save state.
Doing that does not take away from the game experience at all. It just adds a quality of life that is important. Now, let me tell you something about the quality of life. The quality of the bonus round.
Bonus round. Go on, get into the bonus round.
Get it.
Bonus. What?
Get it.
Going down to the bonus round. Yow.
The bonus rounds where we play covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme. And Pernell, this is the reason I played Persona music all tonight.
Just to get up to the bonus round.
This popped up on my YouTube feed, and it was incredible. I could not get over how good this arrangement was. This is Last Surprise, featuring the singer Casey Lee Williams. This is from Persona 5. This is the battle music composed by Shoji Meguro, and this is arranged by David Gibson, Mclean, and performed by the band Tournament Arc, comprised of Casey Lee Williams, Robbie, Gwobs, Benson, Yousef, Mousavi, David Gibson, Mclean, and Mason Lieberman. This is one of the coolest arrangements I've heard in a long time. So I think you're going to enjoy this.
I'm ready to jam, sir.
So here we go. Last Surprise.
yeah. So step into my way, stand down. It's a trap, one more step, and you're dead. Yeah, you're dead. Why just a picosecond ago, clear blue skies, but now lightning struck your last resolve. It's not an accident that no one hears your cries. It's your last stray seems to dissolve. You'll never see it coming. You'll see that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done. By the time that it hits you, your last surprise, I'm coming for you. My game's always so fast, so fine. It's fine. By the night, you didn't catch it in time. Better think about your game. Are you sure your next move's the right one for you? Are you sure you won't get outmaneuvered again and again, my friend? You'll never see it coming. You'll see that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done. By the time that it hits you, your last surprise, I'm coming for you. My game's always so fast, so fine. Just fine. By the night that you didn't catch it in time.
That was Last Surprise from Persona 5, composed by Shoji Meguro and arranged by David Gibson Mclean for the band Tournament Arc, featuring Casey Lee Williams on vocals.
Well, here's a joke that no one saw coming. I didn't see that one coming. It was a great track, though.
Yeah, good. Thanks. This is something I heard, and I got really, really into it, and just something about it's not the exact same key of the original song. Something about it's just darker a little bit, and just the chorus. It's really, 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 really cool. So I hope you liked it.
Well, I can say this much. You at least inspired me to try to, when this episode is over, I'm going to make myself play some freaking games tonight. And by that, I'm going to actually beat this first dungeon in Persona Strikers. Because I'm at the end of it, but I'm on hard mode and just kicking my snot. Because
can you change it back to normal?
I can, but then I'd be quitting.
But it's
I'm
not
determined.
quitting. It's
No, I got to do it. I got to do it. Like,
this is telling me. Add this to the pile of games Purnell's never going to finish.
No, I'm going to finish this game. And there's a way around this problem. It's not that I can't do it. It's just I got to be smart about who I select as my character.
Okay.
And then play them effectively. That's all.
All right.
Maybe even, I don't know, buy some equipment upgrades because I've been hoarding money. So, hey, I've got options before I outright quit.
All right. I won't bug you about it anymore. But
Until next time, which you should. That's the running joke.
I will bug you about it. Excuse me, I've been drinking a lot of water. All right, Purnell. I say that as like I try to like come back to you and you got like a soda in your face.
No. Nope. This is not soda. This is sparkling water, sir.
Oh, I see. It's bubbly. It's bubbly water.
That's right. I need to get my soda fixed by not drinking soda, but it's carbonated anyway, so it covers the dew.
What I do is I take a fistful of sugar and a fistful of carbonated water, and I jam it in my face.
and just shake it around.
All right, so what's your fourth? This is your fourth game from February?
That's correct. And for those who have been keeping up with the episodes, it should probably come as no surprise that the last game of my 4 in February was the RPG Omori that was released on Steam in December. That game drew me in hardcore, and I ripped through it pretty much in I think it was even though it took me 3 weeks, it was only maybe 3 or 4 seating sessions of play.
Yeah, this game really got a hold of you.
Yes, it did. I love the battle system. I like the narrative. I like the fact that there was some happy-go-lucky elements, but it was not a happy-go-lucky narrative at all. It was on point. It was a good game. So rather than talk about it now, I'll do like I've been with the other track, and I'll announce this track and talk about the game afterwards. This track is a remix to a track I played a few weeks ago called World's End Valentine. But this one was done by artists that I don't feature on the show nearly enough, FamilyJules.
Oh, cool.
The Jewels. Welcome back. You just listened to the quote-unquote metal remix to World's End Valentine from the game Omori, done and freaking perfected by FamilyJules. Oh, God, I love this track so much. The original track is what made me interested in buying and playing the game in the first place.
This song in particular.
Yes, because I had heard it when someone was just randomly saying, the OST for this game is really cool, you should check it out. And he linked this track, and I was like, wow, I'm sold. I'm sold to at least play it because I'll get to hear this at some point in the game. But in the end, it turned out that the entire friggin' OST and game was great. It's an RPG without going into the specifics because there's a lot that this game has, but for the most part, I'll just say you play as a character named Omori who lives in a place called Headspace, who spends time hanging out with his friends, Kel, Aubrey, and Hiro, and Basil, and Mari, and Blink. There's no Blink. I just want to say and again. And they're all hanging out together, having fun, and then one day something crazy happens and Basil disappears, or Basil, however you want to pronounce it. And you and your friends are on a quest, essentially, through Headspace to try to find their missing friend, which takes them to a variety of locales. And as you are playing the game, you start to realize that things aren't exactly as they seem. There's more going on than you expect, and then it does some stuff. But throughout the entire game, it's an enjoyable romp. The combat element can get a little old eventually, because you start getting specific special moves, and you're like, well, the ones I had at the beginning of the game are better than the ones I'm getting at the end, so who cares? But despite how that can become, the story and the music and the environments and the characters are what made me want to completely run through the game and knock it out. Like, I loved this game, and I recommend it to anybody to give it a try and play through it. It's worth your time, and it was a fantastic cap to 4 in February for me.
It's a great soundtrack. It's a very broad soundtrack. There's a lot to it, and the art style is really unique. It's very, very cool. So
yes, if you don't believe what Rob is saying, listen to Worlds and Valentine, and then Ready Steady Go, and you'll get a nice juxtaposition on OST tunes.
There's a lot of different sounding tracks. So for more information on our bonus round, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to these artists' Bandcamps and SoundClouds and everywhere where you can buy this music and support the artists. Buy their music from Bandcamp. You should do that if you're going to do that.
Yes.
If you choose
and
to
do it on those Fridays, apparently, because that's when they get all the cash.
Yes. All right, thank you for joining us on episode 27-4 of Rhythm and Pixels. This is this is Purnell's 4 in February.
And Rob's 1 in February.
My one that I played some of. Yeah,
it's funny.
No apologies. That's just what I do. But I thought
you don't need to apologize.
It'd be a fun. I thought it'd be a fun topic because I really wanted to hear about the games you played through, and you have a lot of thoughts on it.
And I was genuinely curious about what you would pick, because I knew you didn't play 4 in February. So I was like, I wonder what Rob's going to do on this episode. So I was pleasantly surprised.
4 games that I wanted to play in February, but like the only games I hear about are the games that you tell me about. So it might be the same.
Gosh, shake it up a bit. I know. Persona 5, which to this day I'm proud of, because I did tell you about that when you were delaying it for a long time.
Forever. I was like waiting. I was like, if I'm going to, because you know what? This is exactly what was going to happen. It's such a big RPG game. I'm not going to play anything else. So I was like,
good.
I know, but that's what's happening right now. It's like, what am I going to play? Like, if I just knew that I didn't want to get started, because it meant that I'm not going to be playing anything else for a long time, which is fine. I mean,
that's actually a gift in a way, because that means you actually complete the things you start.
Mostly,
you don't have a backlog of incomplete titles with in-game save point saves.
No, yeah, the games that are in my backlog that I have not finished, I'm never going to finish for a reason. And there's a few of them that I think we both disagree on, and that was what's the one with the girl who has a wrench?
Oh, Iconoclast. Yeah, you hated that game.
I couldn't get into that. No, I really tried. Really tried on that one. Same thing with some others. So this was our salute to the 4 in February. Next week is our Patreon exclusive episode. Not exclusive.
It was tavern and bar music, wasn't it?
Yes, it's going to be tavern music and bar music. But that's actually going to be recorded tomorrow, but that's coming out next week.
Stay tuned till next week.
So if you're listening to this today, then and you're a Patreon member, then that means tomorrow night you get to hang out with me and Purnell and crack some dumb jokes. I might have another stupid quiz for you, Purnell. People seem to like it. I get emails, I get phone calls, Purnell.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, I get phone calls, texts.
Okay, now you're just exaggerating.
No.
Like, hi, hello, is this Rob Nichols? Hi, this is Jim Bone from the Daily Planet. We really need another one of those quizzes. The people love them. We need more.
No, I'm not exaggerating, Pernell. I'm lying.
There is a difference.
There's a big difference there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna have some really fun music on this episode. So tavern music, bar music, that kind of silly, fun, or serious. Who knows what's gonna come out of this one? But music you would hear there, or music in those situations within a video game. The Bard's Tale comes to mind, right?
We probably should post this in the Discord after the episode.
Grandia 2. There's
There's
that scene in the opening of Grandia 2 where they're at a bar. They eat fruit that makes them drunk.
I don't even remember that.
That's all. I don't know why. That's like the only thing I remember from that game. I'm sure there's plenty else to remember from Grandia 2, but I remember they ate fruit that got them drunk.
You remember GeoHound? You used to joke about all the time. I'm a GeoHound,
Yeah, that's right,
and I'm voiced by Leonardo.
Wow, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah, I never forgot that because that was your running joke when you played that for the first time. You just remember like, I'm a GeoHound. Like, okay, we know, Rob. We know you're a GeoHound, okay? We get it.
Oh my god. It's like 19 when that game came out.
No, you weren't 19. Actually, you could have been. You weren't 19. You would have been like 20.
20. Yeah. Okay, so I was playing DDR at the time. So yeah, I was like 20.
And a GeoHound, don't forget.
That's when everything changed for me. Once I started playing DDR, everything went south.
That is true because
Past
you weren't
20
playing
years.
anything else.
No, it just meant that my video game playing habits changed.
That's what I mean. You switched pretty much to DDR in competitive fighting games.
Yeah.
And then for a while you weren't even playing the fighting games. It was mainly DDR.
Yeah, so it all has to do with the controller. If I can't play it on a joystick or with my feet, then
you tried to play 2DX at one point, but it didn't stick.
It's that game. Like you think about rhythm gamers and like there's the niche types of games, and there's always like the subculture or the players who are really like gatekeepy, and they're really like it's hard to get into because they all have like their own language and they don't. That game is obtuse. I'm sorry. Like I'm with you. Poppin' music is the superior game. It's colorful.
That's right.
It's challenging. The music is fun. Beatmania is so dry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
the music got better in later releases, but by that point, I was popping up.
And honestly,
I need to go to that.
Standard, official DDR, I feel the same way. It's dry. They haven't made any changes to it in the past 20 years. And in fact, I think it's gotten worse. So that's where I stand on that game. So when I say
where you're at,
I play ITG. That's all I play. Okay, I think that's all I gotta say about that.
That's the second time. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all I'm gonna say. I'm really tired now. I have not been sleeping super well, but that's a cat problem primarily. I'm blaming the cat on that one. You should get a cat, Pernell. It makes our lives better.
Oh Christ, no! Like I'll play with everyone else's pets.
Oh, but if you want to
keep telling myself I want one, but
you keep talking about I would get a cat. But I have Rob's cat I can play with, and then I can.
This is true.
Put him back,
and it's true. I don't mess around. I play with everyone else's pets. Save myself on vet bills and food bills.
I think that
works.
Perfectly fine excuse for that, honestly, because it adds up. All right. So if you want to get in contact with us, if you want to say hello, if you have a track suggestion or a topic suggestion, or if you have pictures of your cat, we would like to see them.
He's not joking about that.
I'm not joking. I want that. Send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And for a full track listing of this episode and all of our episodes and access to all of our episodes, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
You can check us out on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. It's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word. We have a little group in Facebook called Rhythm and Pixels Chat. And we also have a Discord server. You can find that on our website. There's a little link at the top that can go right to our server. And there's a bunch of cool people chatting and other people within the podcastiverse, if you're into listening to other video game music podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, the best thing you can do is tell people about it and just tell your friends. Or if anyone's interested in what you're listening to in your car, just play it in the car. In fact, lock the doors and don't let them leave.
or last resort, you can always make a nice Rhythm and Pixels inspired recipe and toss it up on allrecipes.com. People will love it, and then they'll listen to the show.
Exactly. You can make a quilting pattern and put it on whatever quilting website that's out there.
Pinterest,
yeah, put it on Pinterest. Make a Pinterest.
When in
board.
doubt, it's Pinterest.
When in doubt, it's Pinterest. But yeah, you can also go to rhythmandpixels.com/merch, and there we have a bunch of T-shirts that you can grab for yourself and put on your body. Some of them are podcast related, some of them are just video game music related. And by the end of this month, there should be 3 or 4 more new shirts that are of the sound team, of the company sound team. So I have a Konami one, the SST band. What's the one from Taito?
Kukuhea Club?
That's Konami.
Oh, whoops.
I'll think of it like in a minute and scream it out loud. But yeah, I'm really proud of these designs. They're going to come out on our shop, rhythmandpixels.com/merch. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/rhythmandpixels, and there you get access to a weekly prequel episode of me and Pernell chatting, talking about stuff, everything. This week's a little bit more real, so a little,
heavy, less.
it's a bit heavy, so I would just, it's just a little warning there, maybe a trigger warning type thing. And you also get access to a monthly live streamed episode. No warning there. That's just all fun of me and Pernell recording an episode with an audience, you guys as an audience. And we'd like to thank all of our top Patreon members at the end of every episode. So thank Frankly Zappa, Mike Myers, Bashin8060, That Nick Walker, Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy, Matt Holmqvist, Michael Jennings, Davey Cakes, Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio, Sonic Medley, Taco, Harold Howard, Dave Taylor, Reinhard Zelkova, Andreas Milberg, Dan Loughton, Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller, The Autistic Gamer 89, Cameron Werma, Christopher Shenstrom, Bobby Arson from One Up Funk, Wicked Sephiroth, Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast. I'm really glad your dog is doing better. That makes me really happy. I think your little puppers is cute.
He's named after a Ghost Trick missile.
Yeah, no, I love it. And Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast, and Brian Pitt. So thank you, all of you. Thank you so much for your continued support of our little program that we do every week.
It's 100% appreciated, and we thank you.
Thank you so much. Next week is all about our Patreon episode. The week after that, we have a returning guest. I think you're going to like her. She's fantastic. She brings the energy. She brings the heat to the show.
She brings a high rate. She brings a high appearance count.
The high appearance count. So check this. So be sure to look out for that one. That'll be in 2 weeks' time. But until then, thank you for listening to the show. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a great week and stay safe.
And remember, people are people. We are who we are. We do the best we can to be the best we can for the most part. But with that said, we're not perfect. We screw up. We make mistakes, sometimes big, sometimes small. However, and as a result of that, of course, when you make a mistake, usually it's a matter of owning up to your mistakes, apologize and making amends, sort of. But every once in a while, there are certain mistakes that are pretty egregious. And while that's not to say that you can never make attempts at, being better after making those mistakes, they are scenarios where you may not necessarily be granted that, that actual forgiveness or, redemption, or it might be much harder than you can expect. So rather than let yourself get in that position, if you know you're in a situation where you're feeling away or you're looking to do a thing that you really shouldn't do, like you friggin' know it's wrong and all across the board, rather than hide it in shame or think that you can kind of get by scot-free on it, if you think it's something that's a problem that you can't fight off on your own, reach out to somebody that you know that you can trust and you can talk to, that can be guidance for you, that can talk you through it, help you see the light of it, really. If a friend, a family member, a counselor, something. Hell, if you really have none of that, write the freaking show. I will talk to you. I don't know. But the point is, you don't have to succumb to your worst instincts. You don't have to succumb to the worst parts of our being. You can be better, and if you can't do it alone, you can do it with help. Just do it. That's all there is to that.